It was our great pleasure to host the president this morning, the 45th president, who will soon to be reelected as the 47th president. President Trump brought an extraordinary amount of energy and excitement and enthusiasm this morning. That is what we're seeing in the party throughout the country. Many of us are traveling the country. I do it endlessly. I've been in 29 states and done events in 123 cities, and we go to blue states and swing districts and everywhere in between. There is something happening in the country. That's the phrase I used to introduce the president this morning, and he repeated the phrase a number of times in his own remarks because he's feeling and seeing that as well. He had 107,000 people turn out to a rally in New Jersey. He's going coast to coast as we are, and we're all seeing the same thing. People recognize right now in this country that this will be the most consequential election, certainly of our lifetimes, and maybe in the last century or more in America. Everything is at stake. The Biden administration and President Biden have made a mess of every area of public policy, and everyone in the country knows it. And so they're anxious for answers. They want a response to the things that have them so fed up. Our party is there to provide them. We have an extraordinary stable of candidates who are out there running great campaigns across the country. Our incumbents are in great shape. The challengers that we've recruited to flip some of these seats from blue back to red are doing extraordinarily well, and we believe we're headed for a great November. We don't take anything for granted. You have to run like you're 10 points behind. But we are very encouraged by the polling that shows what we know intuitively, and that is this thing is trending certainly in the right direction. And we believe that we're going to win back the White House and the Senate and grow the House majority. And when we do that, we will not waste a moment. We will be working on a very aggressive agenda to fix all the great problems facing this country right now. We talked a little bit about that today with President Trump. We talked about how to grow this House majority and how he will help in doing so, and then how we'll help him as well. And this is a unified effort by the party. We're feeling good. As we walked out of the room today, one of our colleagues walked up to me who's been around a long time, been in Congress a long time. He said, I feel better. I feel more confident, more energy, more enthusiasm right now than I've felt in probably 40 years in politics. And I think that is probably a good indication of how people are feeling out there in the country. Something is happening.
We just had a great resounding speech by President Trump. And if you look at the applause, standing ovations, a lot of, as Elise said, a lot of unifying messages from President Trump, but also optimistic messages. President Trump talked a lot about what we need to do to get our country back on track, spent a lot of time talking about securing America's border and why that's so important to our national security. Talked about the fact that we have Russian warships off of our coast right now, off of America's coast, because of Joe Biden's weakness and the difference between strong leadership and President Trump. President Trump talked a lot, too, about how to get the economy back on track and reduce inflation for those families who are struggling. All across America, families can't afford to buy groceries, can't afford to fill up their cars because of the failed policies of Joe Biden. President Trump talked about what we can do working with a Republican Congress to fix these problems in January, but it all starts November 5th. We are incredibly unified in working with President Trump to get him elected so that we can work with him to fix these serious problems that our country faces.
We just concluded a very successful special political conference with our special guest, President Donald J. Trump. He was warmly welcomed by the House Republican Conference. We are 100% unified behind his candidacy and are ready to get to work on behalf of the American people to secure the border, unleash American energy independence, bring back peace through strength, stand up for election integrity, and defeat this illegal weaponization of the justice system. It was a unifying event, and I'm grateful to the president for answering questions from our colleagues.